The initial police report lists the time of death as exactly 3:07 a.m. The victim was found deceased inside their own bedroom, with the door fully closed and no signs of a struggle leading up to the room. Investigators quickly ruled out a standard break-in. There was no forced entry, the windows were secure, and the physical parameters of the space offered no entry or exit point for a suspect. But the bizarre element is what the victim was doing when they died. Someone facing a lethal threat would typically dial emergency services. Instead, this victim left an active outgoing call to their own phone number. It introduces an immediate logical contradiction. The victim was somehow dialing their own exact number at the precise moment of their death. To understand how a person ends up dead while calling themselves, we have to look back at the phone's call log. Specifically, we need to rewind the timeline exactly 9 minutes to 2:58 a.m. The locked room state of the bedroom tells us physical forensics won't give us the answer. We have to reconstruct a sequence of events where the standard rules of cause and effect break down entirely. At 2:58 a.m., the victim is awake, scrolling through their phone on a rainy night. It is a completely mundane routine, interrupted when the phone buzzes with an incoming call from an unknown number. They ignore it. The ringing stops and then starts again. It is the exact same unidentified number. Eventually, irritation wins out over caution, and they pick up the phone. At first, there is only static, but then two things happen. The caller ID autonomously updates from an unknown number to the contact name ME, and the soft, broken voice on the other end of the line clearly belongs to the victim. The caller claims to be a future version of the victim, calling from the moment after they die. The voice delivers a specific set of instructions. Do not leave the room, do not check the door, and do not look at the reflection. If someone tells you a terrible event is coming, your instinct is to gather information, but the voice explicitly warns that asking questions will actually accelerate the timeline. This forces the victim into a state of intense cognitive dissonance, paralyzed between the biological need to react and the strict instruction to freeze. This warning offers zero actual protection. By telling the victim what actions to avoid, the future self plants the specific seeds of paranoia required to guarantee the victim breaks those rules. The standoff is broken by a soft, patient knock at the bedroom door. The victim's brain repeats the instruction not to check the door, yet their body stands up and walks toward the handle anyway. In total isolation, morbid curiosity and the desperate need to confirm a threat easily overpower rational survival instincts. They open the door to reveal a completely empty hallway. The absence of a threat outside confirms that the physical boundary of the room was entirely irrelevant. The brief wave of relief is shattered by the sound of heavy breathing behind them. The victim slowly turns around to find that the physical threat has already manifested inside the locked bedroom. This animated timeline maps how the sequence collapses. Standing near the bed is a pale mimic of the victim. It smiles. You picked up. As the entity attacks, the phone in their hand rings again. Caller ID displays me once more. Opening the door to investigate functioned as the required physical trigger that allowed the anomaly to bypass the locked room and complete its entry. Backed into a corner by a mimic of themselves, the victim makes one final desperate move. They answer the incoming call and whisper into the receiver, begging for help. The voice replying to them is their own, broken and exhausted, telling them, "You already did this. You always do." The victim realizes that their whispered pleas perfectly match the terrifying audio they heard on the very first call at 2:58 a.m. This illustrates a bootstrap paradox, a causal loop where a cause is triggered entirely by its future effect, leaving no true origin. This explains the 3:07 a.m. evidence. The victim's ongoing outgoing call is the literal origin point for the warning received 9 minutes earlier. The call log's record of an ongoing call duration after the time of death reveals the victim's ultimate fate. They are now the voice on the other end of the line, caught in a cycle of dialing the past to deliver the same failed warning to themselves forever. In a closed causal loop, human agency is entirely an illusion. The most desperate attempts we make to avoid a tragic fate end up being the exact mechanisms required to guarantee it happens.